You can, and then I'll go.
Welcome to another episode of Gorilla Sports Off Field. This is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payment. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Woo-hoo! Happy day after Boxing Day. Happy third night of Canada. Hanukkah. The one Jewish guy.
It's all the same,
Yeah,
right?
Canada stuck in my head. I'm Liv Moods, also Liv Moods and Liv Moods. We're all playing the role of
Three
Liv Moods today.
Moodses.
I'm BK. That's Nate Jackson. Almost 20 years in the NFL, give or take. I approximate how long Nate spent playing in the league, but I always like to add on.
Yeah.
He played a
17.
long time. 17.
He rounded up.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
7 in there for sure. And then that's Liv Moods. You see her on all things football and basketball that we do, and then hanging out with her pal Debo. Did you guys have a guest this week remotely?
We did.
Who was it?
I don't know if I should say live because the episode hasn't come out
Oh,
yet.
hasn't
But
come
I'll
out
say-
yet?
Hey,
Can we
we
guess?
filmed it last night.
So you filmed it. Okay, can we guess?
Yeah.
They play receiver.
Receiver in the NFL? No.
Is that his official position? I think
Oh,
so.
Travis
Maybe-
Kelce.
No. Kelsey's not deviating from his whole
You're not sure if
podcast
he's a
empire.
receiver. Oh, so it's someone that kind of plays like
Juwan Jennings, maybe?
Curtis
He had him? His teammate?
Samuel,
It's actually a young guy.
young guy that.
Ricky Pearsall?
What team does he play for?
Does he play for the Niners? I don't
No,
know.
then I guess we'll watch.
He's
the
a
show.
young guy.
Right now, we're
It
gonna do
should
this.
be coming out today, I
Okay,
think. So
right now we're gonna watch this show and do
Yeah.
it. We appreciate you guys joining us. As we're getting off the top, I do want to shout out because I wanted to ask you guys about Christmas real quickly. Running around the malls at Park Meadows, popped into drop a holiday card from my guy Derek at the sporting goods store. I'm drawing a blank of the name of his store. That there's like 5 of them, but I'll remember that in a second.
Dick's?
Not Dick's, smaller.
Richards?
No, the
Smaller
they
Dick's?
got the
What are
one
you talking
right
about?
by the stadium. Sports fan.
Oh.
My guy Derek at Sports Fan. He's been a pal for a long time. He wasn't there. Dropped a holiday card, and then as I'm walking out,
You dropped a holiday card.
yeah, well, because
Where's
I
my
actually rented.
freaking holiday
I
card,
gave you
man?
one. I gave you one, and I gave you one.
I have.
Oh,
one.
yeah, I did get
Yes,
one in the mail.
I have
they're,
one.
that
they're
one.
just holiday cards. There's no money with them. Just
Darn it.
holiday. But anyways, I missed Derek. But on the way out, gentleman goes, "Hey man, hey," and I look. He goes, "Hey man, I watch you guys all the time." It's like
Oh.
Jackson's my man. His name's Quay. So I want to shout out Quay. Hopefully,
Shout
don't know
out
if he's
Quay.
watching us. And
What's up, Quay?
he's like, and I love Liv. He goes, I watch you guys all the time. So
Aw.
Quay was just in Sports Fan doing some Christmas Eve shopping. Just saw me, told me he watches the show all the time. So Quay, I hope you had happy holidays, Merry
Yes.
Christmas. Saw
Happy
Liv's
holidays.
beautiful gift wrapping compared to mine that was less beautiful that she posted online. Did you see
Oh,
on that?
no.
It looked like she worked at Williams Sonoma or somewhere. with the
Listen,
gift
we did.
wrapping,
I
dude.
did channel my.
It was
I think
wild.
being a first time homeowner, I'm still in the phase of because I know that everything about my life will change once I have children. Trust me when I say I will not be doing the same wrapping paper with the. I did brown parchment paper with
Mm.
like a cute little
Now the
brown
post one away,
velvet
you just
bow.
have to show them on your phone. It
Yeah,
was
I will.
unbelievable.
I'll show Nate, and maybe if we cut this into a clip, I'll show it as well. But yeah, I did very aesthetic Christmas this year. But again, as a first time homeowner, I'm just kind of soaking in all of the like.
It's mine. You can
fun-
tell it's mine.
Yeah,
I did,
BK was
I did
also.
lots of boxes.
By the way, BK was also texting me at like
Midnight.
10
I'm like,
till
I haven't even
midnight,
started.
and he's like, Andrew doesn't feel good, so I'm going to be doing a lot of the wrapping. And so I then texted him in the morning because I
On
fell
Christmas?
asleep.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
Why?
So then I end up texting him
Why
in the
what?
morning, and I'm like, "Did you get everything
Why was
done?"
I doing
Why
the
are you
wrapping?
texting at midnight?
We were
about-
just, I was texting to see how she was feeling. We were just,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah,
and
'cause I
like,
was
"Man,
under
still
the
gotta Get
weather."
into this
But
wrapping.
then I texted him when I woke up, and I said, "Did you get everything done?" He's like, "Yep." At 4:44, everything was finished, and the kids
Wow.
let me sleep until 7:51. I'm
Yeah,
like,
what,
"Dear
wow.
3 full hours?
God."
Got a good nap in.
4:44.
How was your
Anyway.
Christmas? First Christmas with a little girl, 2 kids in the house. So
It was great. I mean, I told the big lie, and I pulled it off, and it was pretty cool.
Good job.
Yeah,
yeah, good
it-
job.
it was really. I have a quick question about your wrapping paper, though.
Yeah,
So you spent a lot of time making it very nice.
I did.
How do you feel when someone just rips it
It
apart?
really pissed me off. And you know what? I had so much respect for my mom in that moment where I was like making sure all the corners were perfectly
Yeah, like-
tucked and everything looked great. And then just to watch people just shove it into a garbage bag after
Yeah.
that, I was like, wow, that is parents do not
Check
get
out
enough
this
credit
hack.
for
This
the
is,
wrapping.
This mom, you can't see it unless you zoom in. This mom, she wrapped the room. How smart is that? She just put wrapping paper
Oh,
in
she's
like a
brilliant.
room, and the toys were just out.
I don't think that's that cool.
Yeah,
It's-
it's
you
very
know what?
lazy.
She was
but
on a
then-
time. She was on a time crunch. For sure.
Because I do think about it, having little kids of my own and the stuff that we get for them. They just want to open stuff.
Oh, yeah.
you
Of
know,
course.
So it's like
The
you can
actual
separate-
art of ripping the paper does excite
Yeah,
them
it's-
for sure.
And the minute it's open, it's on
where's
to
the next one? Where's the next one?
you
Where's the
know?
next one?
My grandma used to open it like very gently and fold it as she was doing it, and like literally just have.
Oh, she's
stack
a
of
great
nice folded
woman.
Paper. My father used to wrap his presents in newspapers, and you'd always know it was from my dad because he would use
See?
a newspaper. So it'd be like under the tree,
And that's
or for Christmas, or for birthdays or whatever. That
that's
was his
part
thing.
of the reason that I did the aesthetic, because I wanted, when we took all of the gifts over to my parents' house, I wanted it to be very clear, like these ones are from like Olivia's presents are the brown with the bow. Like everybody knew, because my mom does every type. She's now had what, like how many years of putting on Christmases?
How old
and
are you?
20. I'm almost 27.
we'll
So
call
it's
it
been
about 27
been
years,
a long
25
time.
At least
But so she's
25
got
years of
an
when-
accumulation of paper from probably decades
Oh,
ago,
yeah.
and she just wraps whatever is there, she's using it. So there's just a hodgepodge of wrapping paper everywhere. But I wanted it to be very clear, like this one's from Olivia.
Yeah.
Like my sisters knew the brown paper with the brown bow. Olivia got me this.
You're creating
So,
a high standard. For
I know,
your
and I don't
excellent
know if
stuff.
that was a good idea.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
I don't know if I want to do that every single year. But
I'll tell you two things that relates to our paper real quickly. One, we have a very eclectic mix. Some that looks nice, it's terrible to use to wrap because it like doesn't stay folded. So we're never doing that again. But then the stuff that the kids got from Santa was wrapped in Santa wrapping paper that Santa and his elves were nice enough to wrap in Santa paper to make it very easy. And then I heard this from our pal Shelby Harris, who you can catch on We're the Harrises every week, because obviously Shelby, playing in the league for a long time, might have more means than other families out there. Their family and our family similar. They get a handful of gifts from Santa, and the rest are from your parents and family members, because Santa doesn't pick and choose. Good kids obviously are better than kids on the naughty list. That's a different deal. But like,
of course,
can be like, here's 50 presents from Santa and 2 from your mom and dad.
Yeah.
So Santa's wrapped gifts showed up on their own after I was done at 4:44, of course. But speaking of presents, the Chiefs kind of give the Broncos a present. How much football did you guys watch of those 2 games? Where it's not that I forgot NBA games were on, but other than the Nuggets, I had zero interest in Lakers, and other than my fantasy, like checking to see like AD gets hurt early, that hurt my fantasy team. I didn't watch the Celtics with the green and the Red Sox. Kind of cool. Did you watch all that football? Because lots of people did. And did you watch any hoops?
Yeah, I think there's a conversation to be had about hoops, the decline in ratings with basketball. I think they're significantly down, and I don't really know why. I know after that Warrior-Laker game, LeBron was like, I love football and all, but we own Christmas.
which is such a lie. Come on, LeBron.
Yeah, but I watched,
I
watched some of the Chiefs, Steelers, and then what was the other game?
The Texans Ravens. It was
Yeah,
just
that wasn't
remix
very
from
good.
Saturday.
That wasn't very good.
No, it was all
wasn't.
Ravens.
Yeah, and even the Steelers didn't play very well. Like, so there
I was
wasn't the
bummed.
best games, but still, I'd rather watch a bad NFL game than like a decent NBA game.
We've seen the Steelers and Ravens and Chiefs. The Texans are the only team that the Broncos haven't played, but we've obviously watched those teams more closely in their games against the Broncos. The Steelers are better with Russ. That's obvious. But I don't know how great they are. Clearly, their offense can stall out. I like their 2 running backs. We like their defense, although their corners are a disaster right now. The Ravens are a better team. I know the Ravens had some weird losses, and especially early, those first 2 they dropped right off the top, the weird one of the Chiefs. The Ravens are a better team than the Steelers. Like, they should win that division. Don't they feel like a better team to you?
Yeah, right now the Steelers have dropped 3 straight. I mean, it's about when you're good. And can you get hot at the right time? The Ravens started off hot, kind of. Oh no, actually, they lost the first 2, right?
Right. They lost.
And then
they
went
lost
on
to
a
the
run,
Cowboys, and then
kind of disappeared for a couple weeks, and now they seem to be resurging. And the Steelers are like falling off. There's like infighting going on. They're blaming. There's like some cryptic conversation about who's to blame on the defense. Like somebody's not doing their job.
TJ Watt's been kind of cryptic, hasn't he?
Yeah.
When he's been talking post game.
And Hayward, what's his face?
Craig Hayward.
It's not
Cameron
Iron
Hayward,
Yeah,
the
Cameron.
reigning Walt.
So a lot of these guys are alluding to the idea that someone's not pulling their weight, and there's a lot of speculation as to who it could be. Is he on the defense, or is it Russell Wilson? Liv?
I mean, I think we know Russell Wilson can be off-putting in a locker room for sure. I mean, I think that if you talk to most locker rooms for teams that he's been a part of, they'll probably share the same sentiment that he can be a lot to handle, I would imagine. I mean, even just as a fan watching from a distance, you can see that he's kind of a lot. So I don't know. I think.
But also, if they're winning in general, if Russell's on a winning team, And we could tell he kind of hit the reset button on showing us his Russ stuff and his workouts and stuff. Mike Tomlin, I'm guessing they had a conversation where Mike's like, just be you. Okay. Because clearly that was different than the way he operated last year. But when you're winning and you come in for Justin Fields and they were in good shape anyway, and then you play better as an offense, then the Russ stuff is going to be more over the top and more in your face. And we know that for teammates, the biggest criticism I heard from teammates about Russ wasn't about the personality stuff, as the public persona and the leader. It was just his interpersonal interactions with his teammates. Guys felt like they didn't know him. And I heard one teammate say, like, whenever you start talking to him and he tries to be normal, the conversation just comes back to him talking about himself and things he's done, that he's not really wired. I just feel like Russ, and we've probably talked about this, best athlete he was growing up in probably every sport, certainly football and baseball. And so everybody just wants to be around you when you're the best athlete. It doesn't matter if you're weird.
That's true. But then when you get in the NFL locker room, you're not the best athlete anymore, right?
Yes.
And these are all guys who had that experience.
And then when you're not cool, it shows. It translates.
I was watching the third episode of Enigma last night.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm writing a piece on it.
Oh, okay.
So I have to watch it. I'm reviewing it. But I didn't get through the third episode. And the third episode is called like Redemption or something like that. Or no, wait, Reckoning. The Reckoning. And it's the COVID stuff and all that. But it also goes back to his relationship with Brett Favre. And Brett Favre, like, and they got in the same room together and they like talked and stuff. And you could tell Aaron Rodgers was holding back what he really wanted to say to Brett. And Brett was as kind of recalling it a little differently than you could tell Aaron Rodgers recalled. But Aaron basically revealed that Brett never invited him over to his house. He never asked him to like hang out. He never made him feel like one of the guys or whatever. So when Jordan Love came into Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, as much of a turd as he might be, made it a point to make him feel wanted, to invite him over, to invite him to things,
which probably helped his game.
Absolutely, and to teach him, and and Brett Favre never did any of that. And I'm not saying, but Brett Favre was a successful quarterback. So there are like dudes who aren't necessarily relatable that can be successful, but it's hard to do. Like Tom Brady talks about when he's in the locker room and a guy walks in, a practice squad player, newest guy. He's the first one to walk over to him.
Peyton did that too. And Peyton would go up and say, "Hey, Peyton Manning, nice to meet you." These kids have been playing him on Madden forever. They know who Peyton Manning
and
Tom Brady
probably
are.
invite him over, invite him to the next thing, right? Russell isn't inviting anybody over to his house. And if he does, it's like, I don't even know, like not just a casual hang.
No.
And do you think Russell's ever coming over to one of his teammates' house to just hang out in their apartment because they're not making as much money? There's a lot of guys who are just in a one bedroom or two bedroom apartment. Are you the kind of quarterback who can go kick it there and just chill?
Do you think he got worse when he married Sierra? Because then it's
just different.
Then it's two people of very high status that aren't like, they don't live normal lives. And I think there's a lot of athletes in the NFL that like marry women that don't have that notoriety like Sierra has. And I think those types of women can keep a guy like Russell Wilson maybe a little bit more grounded, where it's like, I'm not in your world. I'm your anchor and I'm holding it down. But when you're married to Sierra, she's almost cooler than you are. So it's like they never know normal. They wouldn't know normal if it smacked them in the head. Like that's just not their life. So Russ has a hard time not being that like perfect PR robot because he's married to someone that also has to be a perfect PR robot. Like they're just not normal people.
I'll say this because I talked to Sierra, we'll call it over the 2 years we were here a dozen times, just in passing, in the hallway, going up to the elevator, on the field pregame, because they'd have their own little roped off area, but certain members of media and team staff could walk by there. She's much more normal than him.
She socially seems like she's more,
she can have a normal conversation more easily than Russ.
And I'm not saying she's not normal in the sense of like socially.
But she still has 40 million Instagram followers.
Her life is not normal.
As a pop star.
And when she became, when they came to Denver, she got like, during training camp, she got all this really special treatment that other wives didn't get.
And she may not even ask for that. They may have just because I don't even know.
I remember watching her run across the field and into like the player's bathroom, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, they could go into the building for the player's bathroom instead of the porta potties.
So again, but again, that's a problem. If the Broncos are allowing Sierra to move differently than any other wife, like Russ then feels entitled to move differently than any other quarterback.
Have his own staff in there. Have his own office.
So it's almost like they didn't do him any. They didn't help the situation at all. The Broncos. He's an oddball. We've known that for a minute, and he does have that inability to just be socially normal and just cool it with the guys and chill. I can't picture Russell Wilson having his receiver room over and just like everyone's in sweats and they're chilling. Like if Sierra walks down the stairs in fur boots and like a giant bucket hat, like nothing's normal about that. And so they don't live a normal life. And I don't think the Broncos they didn't do any services to them by giving them that special treatment. If Sierra's using the player's bathroom and most wives do not have that ability, you're already allowing Russ to think that he's above whatever else everybody else is doing. And then the players view him in a weird way. So again, I all that to say, I'm sure Pittsburgh in the same way is like, Sierra, what do you need? Are you guys taking care of? And
probably
that may rub players the wrong way.
I'm guessing that Mike T and the rest of the organization did their due diligence and asked people in Seattle and asked people here. And I know that Mike and Vance Joseph are really close. So I'm sure that they talked. Just as far as understanding Russ, the guy, and then the organization will do stuff beyond the head coach, because the head coach is focused on all that other stuff. Where Sierra goes to the bathroom during training camp, I can guarantee you Nathaniel Hackett nor Shawn Payton were aware of.
No, I know.
No.
But it clearly creates a separation, just like, and Taylor Swift's obviously on a way different level than her, but the way that the Chiefs have to interact and talking to Chiefs staffers about how nice she is. I'm sure over time she's taken a number of photos and stuff with the people as she's made her way through the play, because she parks in the players parking lot and goes in.
There was other players, kids and stuff, and other kids and friends and family that were trying to play catch out on like this little side area, and the security guard was like, "No, you can't." And then Russ and Sierra's kids were out there doing it, and they're like, "Oh, he can. They can. They're fine."
It's different.
My question to you is: would Sierra and Russ get matching pajamas with the other quarterbacks and post for holiday photos like this crew of quarterbacks and their wives? Did you guys see those photos?
That was very cute. And it sounds like, because I actually follow Stidham's wife on Instagram, because she's just like a very aesthetic person and she's very fun to follow. And they just seem like they have a very wholesome family. But it sounds like, based on her story that she posted of them in matching pajamas doing like a quarterback game night, they do weekly dinners all season long, which again, you would hope that your quarterback, like your position, the groups on the field are doing things together. But like, that's pretty impressive through an entire season. And Stidham has 2 young kids. Mm-hmm. They've made it a priority to have weekly quarterback dinners. And I just think I mean, I'm sure Stidham and Nix don't love the fact that they're not playing football right now, but I love that they're keeping that chemistry.
Wilson. And then Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
But they've all been starters at one point.
Right. But so that's what makes a lot of this, I think, really unique. And none of this is in the rundown, but it's an interesting conversation, because Bo is clearly the team's future, certainly in the short term, but we would like to think for a decade plus. Zach Wilson needed quarterback rehab. I think was happy to be here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Zach Wilson is back next year if there's not a situation that makes more sense, probably on a deal similar to Stidham's. Mm-hmm. That's a 2-year, $10 million kind of deal, because it feels like Stidham will go somewhere else and try to compete somewhere where there's a young guy coming in, that there may be a chance where it's not cemented the way Bo has clearly earned this job. But the one thing about when those guys get together, so you have Zach with 34 starts and being a top pick and understanding all that, and being a single guy in New York, and then now not being a single. Stidham is married, but here's the thing about Stidham's wife. I don't know how many people realize this. Her dad runs Josh Harris's companies. Like, he's the CEO of the Devils, the New Jersey Devils, the Sixers, and he's involved with the Commanders.
Oh, wow. So they've got sports in their
and he used to run the Rockets when Stiddy and his wife met in college at Baylor or wherever. Her dad was running the Rockets. And so she understands how big pro sports work. And I'm guessing some of those conversations have happened. But the 2 quarterbacks he was behind, but 3, but he was behind Russ. So we saw that. He was behind Tom Brady as a rookie, and he was around Derek Carr. So he has stuff he can talk to Bo Nix about that nobody else can too. Yep. And then Zach can still talk about probably the good things from Aaron Rodgers, for as weird as he was. I'm sure Aaron had to be helpful at times to Zach. Yeah. And so the 3 of them together can only benefit Bo Nix and the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Let me throw this one at you guys, because it's an unlikely scenario, but let's say the next 2 games don't go well at all for the Broncos, and Bo Nix takes a big fat steam into his helmet.
And they miss the playoffs.
Would there be a conversation about a quarterback competition in the offseason?
No.
Okay.
Zero chance.
Cemented.
I think it's zero chance. I really, really don't see that happening, just because I think there is a massive issue amongst fans, and we've talked about this on this show, of short-term memory loss, of being in the here and now so much that you forget about what has happened in the season as a whole. And Bo Nix has done exceptional things for this Broncos team. As a rookie, I think we didn't see that many rookie mistakes by a rookie. You know, he pretty much filled his shoes. He took off. He did make mistakes early. They did not look like a super solid football team from jump. But we really didn't have to give Bo Nix that much grace. He stepped into his role. He was going toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. Like, there were a lot of things that Bo Nix was doing really well this season that I think Shawn Payton can watch that and he can say, we have a great body of work here to work with. Yes, Bo Nix is not perfect and there's things that he can improve on, but he did what he needed to do this season. And that was, again, we've talked about what's the best way to set up a rookie quarterback for success, a really solid run game. We didn't have that. So those are the things I would say Shawn Payton needs to double down on in the offseason if Bo Nix poops down his leg in the next 2 games and they miss the playoffs. It's like, hey, that could happen again. You're never going to have a perfect quarterback. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He's been one of the greatest quarterbacks of my time growing up watching football, and he's not doing very well. But again, when you've got a Breece Hall out there, you've got a little bit of wiggle room to still move the ball and get the first down and win big games. So I think, if anything, Bo Nix pooping down his leg to me should just be an alarm bell to the Broncos that we've got to get enough around him that when he does accidentally not make it to the toilet, we have what we need and we can still win games.
I agree with you.
So,
the Broncos are one of only 2 teams in the NFL without a 500-yard rusher.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, we got to change that.
And then Bo the closest.
Yeah, I think Bo might be leading the team.
Seriously.
Like, that's good.
And again, so it's like, if I'm Shawn Payton, and I'm not, and Shawn
No, Javante's at 485.
Also, he's kind of close.
Jalil's at 388. You need 2 big games. We got to see him play, and Bo's at 350. So the odds of Bo gets 75 twice.
I mean, but even it being that close is a little absurd.
Yeah, because it's not like Lamar Jackson type running or Jaden Daniels. Right. We're like, oh, I get it. And by the way, Lamar, he's got something to say about this MVP conversation. Let's see what the next 2 weeks hold. But he passed Michael Vick for all-time QB rushing yards, and I think he's going to end up putting that number way far out there for someone like Jaden Daniels or whoever the next running QB is to go try to catch him, running/throwing QB.
Bo Nix, what are you talking about?
Maybe Bo, but probably not. So, okay, before we get into this Broncos-Bengals thing, we got a bunch of stuff that I want to get to with that. Because the Chiefs ended up winning and securing that home field, we feel pretty confident that we're not going to see much, if any, of Patrick Mahomes or any of Travis Kelce. Chris Jones was already banged up the other day. The Chiefs have shown enough chemistry with their core guys. You have to think that maybe even some of those old linemen like Thuney doesn't necessarily play the whole game, if at all.
They might cut us a break.
How many guys will you see shut down, do you think, from the Chiefs? They're going to get 2 weeks off, but this seems like a team that can totally handle it.
Mm-hmm. So, I did see something where this has happened 4 times in the Chiefs' history with Andy Reid at the helm, where they had the number 1 seed locked up going into the last game, and all 4 times he rested the starting quarterback. So,
including Mahomes' rookie year.
Where
he played against the Broncos, was killing him, came out, the game got close, and then Andy put Mahomes back in.
Right. And so, I think we're going to probably not see Patrick Mahomes on January 5th here, and then probably not see Travis Kelce, probably not see, maybe one of the running backs, a couple of the defensive players.
Yeah,
you can't rest the whole team.
No, but you may not see, even though Samaje Perine hasn't played as much, you're probably going to see a lot of Kareem Hunt. Or maybe you're seeing more Pacheco and less Kareem Hunt because Kareem's been
the older guy, right?
Yeah.
This may be an unpopular opinion, but I kind of hate that. I really wanted the Broncos to have an opportunity to get their get back.
Yeah.
Which we don't know for sure if that was going to happen.
They might get it in the playoffs.
Yeah, they might get it in the AFC
They really could. And honestly, maybe that's better. Maybe the Chiefs resting their starters in that final game against the Broncos. Then the Broncos won't be seeing those starters. And if we do face the Chiefs in the playoffs, that's where they can get their real get back. So maybe it's for the best. But after the way that Chiefs game ended earlier this season, I wanted nothing more than in the Mile High City, on Broncos territory, home field, they just absolutely demolish.
But you'll take a win that'll certainly either secure your playoff spot or improve it. So we'll get to that in a second. But let's start there, because Shawn Payton was even asked and this was Tuesday, but was asked, hey, the Chiefs might win. They shut their guys down. What's your message to your team, knowing that you've got basically 2 cracks at it to win 1 game at the very least? And Shawn Payton, when asked, hey, what are you saying to the team? This is what he said.
Well, I put a note. We got to get to 10. It's the first thing. We got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get to 10. Let's focus on that. And, you know, we got to get and all our preparation, everything we do. Cortland just said it best. You know, we put ourselves in this position. Let's take advantage of it.
When you said you put a note, you write
No, just right here. I just get to 10. 10.
And he was, if somebody asked, hey, well, can we see that? So he's like, well, if you're a network TV where Run It was really big on his call sheet.
Yeah, so get to 10.
Get to 10. It's a simple
That's all
message.
you need to know. Get to 10.
And that message won't change if they lose this week, but that is simple enough. Get to 10 because 10 gets you in. Another win gets them in, like you've been saying for weeks. 10 will get you in, and it has, or it will. Almost every year it does, especially with now 7 teams making the playoffs.
Oh my gosh.
What?
I hope this is fake effing news.
Who's the reporter?
It's from Steeler Nation.
Okay, that's not.
And it says NFL Insider believes the Steelers will make a play for Aaron Rodgers in the offseason.
Okay.
Mike Tomlin does like him.
Yeah, and I think if anybody can get the best out of him, it'd be Mike T. Where does Russ go? The Jets.
Okay, so then can we just make a formal announcement here? If Aaron Rodgers poops down his leg again on a different team, can we just pack it up?
You're saying you're done seeing him?
I'm
That's all.
done.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right, so it's not about Aaron Rodgers is still a Hall of Famer. You're just done.
No, I'm not taking away from what he's done, but
like
what he's currently doing, we just need to end it.
You didn't like Patrick Ewing in a Magic jersey or Olajuwon rocking his Raptors jersey. All those guys
I just am
mellow
sick of,
with the Blazers.
I'm just sick of Aaron Rodgers. That's
I get it. You're sick of Aaron Rodgers. Let's get back to the Broncos though, and we'll keep an eye on that story.
Yes, for sure.
There's a lot that has to happen between now. Like the Steelers have to go through the playoffs. If Russ takes them to the playoffs and they win a playoff game, especially if they're a road team, it's gonna be a tough sell. Now I don't know what he's gonna want money wise next year. That may make it easy for him. But so you heard Shawn not only talk about get to 10, but he referenced Cortland. And so Cortland, who broke the team down on Tuesday, one of the captains, second longest tenured Bronco after Garrett Bowles, was asked about the messaging right now with the holidays going on. This was on Christmas Eve and all of that, and knowing you have this golden opportunity. So here's what Cortland said on Tuesday when he was kind of teed up about his message to the team.
I don't think we have Cortland.
We definitely have Cortland. Thomas is good, and I know for a fact our guy Thomas. There we go.
Coach gave me an opportunity to break the team down today after practice, and was kind of just reiterating the message that he kind of is voicing to us, but that we have this opportunity that's right ahead of us, and it's upon us to make sure that we maximize this. Yes, it's a holiday season, and people have family in town, and the ones that have kids. This is a big holiday for especially the families, and so it's important for us not to get lost in either one. Like, you don't want to make it a less valuable thing, I guess, of it being a Christmas holiday, a very important holiday. But this opportunity that's in front of us is huge. It's a huge opportunity for us to be able to lock in a chance to be able to go to the playoffs and go to the postseason, something that hasn't been done here in way too many years. We can't lose sight of that opportunity. So I think that the guys are understanding the message. I think the guys are understanding the severity, and guys are understanding how big of an opportunity this is for us, and just not losing sight of that. And today was a good start. We had a really good day of practice, man, and you're going to go in here and watch the film and keep stacking these days. And I think that we continue to do that. We'll be in a good spot going into the game Saturday.
Okay.
Can I distill down what I heard there from Cortland Sutton about what Shawn Payton's message was to them this week? It was basically this: with all due respect, fuck Christmas. It's great. You have family in town. St. Nick's coming down your chimney. Who gives a shit? Relative to this right now, the game is most important. And he's talked about the difficulty.
Wow.
The difficulty in navigating the Christmas schedule. He's like, Thanksgiving's easy. It's Christmas that's a challenge because of this. This game is so freaking important.
It's huge.
And you got family in town. You got kids who want you. You got all this stuff. Fuck Christmas. That's what he's basically said to these guys.
And there probably could have been a little more Christmas leeway had they won against the
That's true.
Chargers.
That's
They would have
true.
put themselves in a better position.
Then he
where
would have come
these
in like Andy
games-
Reid wearing Santa Claus outfit.
Right. And these games wouldn't have felt like do or die had they done their job. Not even in the Chargers game, in the Chargers second half. That's
yeah.
all they needed to do.
you might have
and they didn't.
You might have reworked your schedule, had them in the building Monday instead of giving them the extra day off to recover and all
Like
of
they
that.
probably could have had a little bit more leeway
Yeah.
as it pertains to Christmas
Yeah.
had they done their job on Thursday night.
But let me ask you this, because you were on obviously some teams that went, not only on playoff runs, you go all the way to the championship game. And it's easy for us as members of the media or observers or fans to say, when you see a story about so-and-so the night before a big game or even the Friday before a Sunday game, guys were out and I understand that young guys, they can recover, or so much was made of the Cowboys going to Cabo on a bye week or the Giants going on a boat with Odell. Again, I want to say on a bye week, but you do kind of have your whole life, not for everybody, not everyone's going to have Odell money, Tony Romo money, and that time with that team to get away. You guys would shoot to Vegas all the time. But I have to think that later in the years, y'all were going on playoff runs, even if there were victory Mondays, there weren't a lot of Sunday to Monday night, Sunday afternoon to coming back, or Tuesday afternoon, 2-day Vegas trips like you had early in the year, because it was time to lock in. Because as Cortland said, hopefully our families realize we only have, a certain window.
You only have a whole couple of these opportunities in your life. Christmas is not going anywhere. It'll be back next year and the rest and the year. But I understand also you have kids who are in a window as well when Christmas matters a lot to them. So it does take a tightrope for a coach to be able to allow his players to be human beings, be there with their family, but also prepare the way you got to prepare to meet a challenger like this. The Cincinnati Bengals are no slouch.
No, and let's look at this team real quick. We're going to hear from Shawn in a minute about stopping this passing attack. But when you look at this, at the matchup and just how good they are on offense, the numbers, they're in the top 10 in just about every category, though they don't protect the ball. They fumble more than just about anybody. They're third worst in the league, but they're 10th in yards per game, 8th in yards per play. They're 6th in points per game, and they're the number 1 passing offense in football. And when you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase was my favorite receiver, as good as Justin Jefferson is. And I remember last year asking Jerry Jeudy, of all the contemporaries, he likes Justin Jefferson more than Jamar Chase. But on that LSU team, Jamar Chase was the one that, to me, looked the most special. And we're seeing that now in the NFL. Plus, he's got T. Higgins, clearly the best number 2. And how do you say the kid's name? Yesevich, 80. And Gesicki comes over, obviously a vet. And Chase Brown in the passing game, plus his ability to run. The Bengals offense has to scare you as much as anybody you've seen this side of the Ravens.
Yeah. And honestly, I really hope, I'm sure if you've been watching the NFL, you know that the Bengals record is not an accurate representation of how good that team is.
At least not how good the offense is.
Right. The offense is just really strong. And in the AFC North, the AFC North surprisingly got extremely competitive this season with the Steelers doing what they did. Obviously, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, we know what they're doing. But I would argue if the Bengals had a better record, Joe Burrow would be a serious contender for MVP based on the way he's playing. And even Jamar Chase, you could make a case for MVP this season, the way that he's playing. So this is a game where, unfortunately, I love our defense, and I would love to give them a break and let our offense just cook so hard that the defense can just, enjoy being off the field. But I have a very strong feeling our defense is going to be what makes or breaks this game for the Broncos, because you have to find an answer for Jamar Chase. You have to slow down Joe Burrow. So I think our defense is gonna have to go into this one with a very violent mindset, to be honest.
I like the violent mindset. And I'll even narrow that down to that violence needs to be directed at Joe Burrow. You need to get after his ass, as they say. Get after his ass.
Pause.
Put a hat on him. Put a hat on him. And that doesn't mean go place a fedora on his head. It means hit him with your head as hard as you can. I'm not saying hit him in the head or whatever, but that's your weapon. So go attack, because that means you're leaning forward and you're trying. The Broncos team is leading the NFL in sacks. They need to play like that on Saturday and get after Joe Burrow. No quarterback likes to get hit, right? And especially a quarterback having the type of year he is from inside the pocket. He's not a guy who really gets out of the pocket much. He's a good enough athlete where he can make stuff happen with his legs, but he likes to deal from inside the pocket. So collapse that pocket and make him feel it. Riley Moss coming back, but
it's pretty big. I think
it's big, but it's also scary to me because he hasn't been tested in a couple of months. The MCL is a wobbly thing. When you come back for the first time and you're reacting to things, you couldn't do that in your rehab. So he's going to get tested. you don't want him to have to cover for 5 seconds. You have to get after Joe Burrow early and often. And also, when it comes to the Broncos offense, third down is going to be really important for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to pick up yards on first and second to make these manageable thirds and allow the defense to rest. Because if you want to pin your ears back and attack Joe Burrow, you got to be rested to do so. If you allow these long drives on their offense and then we go 3 and out on offense and then the defense right back on the field, they're not going to be able to attack with the type of ferocity and violence that you're suggesting.
I don't like promoting violence unless the playoffs are on the line.
Or to UFC fight.
In which case I say, be violent.
Fuck them up.
But I really think like the defense we know has been crucial for this Broncos team and their success this season, but they are so exceptionally important against a high power offense like the Bengals. The Bengals, if the defense doesn't do what they need to do, I mean, the Bengals could curb stomp the Broncos because our offense just isn't there yet to be able to hang with the level of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase this season. So defense, violence, channel your inner violence.
No, at this point in the year, numbers really do kind of tell a story about who a team is. And so it's worth noting, and I think part of this is that Joe Burrow extends plays and makes plays, but he's been sacked 37 times compared to Bo Nix 22. So that's 18th in the league in terms of, I guess 18th worst, or 18th best, whereas the Broncos are third in terms of sack slots. So you can get to them a little bit. And then on the other side of the ball, their defense gives up the 28th most points or yards per game. They're terrible on third down. They're ranked 26th, and they're next to last in the red zone. So if you can get in the red zone, you can put up points, you can score. In order to do that, though, you're going to have to run the football, and that's something that Shawn has clearly emphasized. He now might be getting Jaleel back, plus they opened the window on Beatty. He doesn't know how to manage 3 running backs. Now he's going to have 5 because Blake Watson added to the active 53 with them cutting Levi Wallace. And so they have to run the football, I think, to just give their defense a chance to continue to gear up for this challenge and not give them too many 3 and outs.
Yeah, I want to see a balance. I just want to see a balanced game called. When people are just like, run it, well, that sounds good, but you also do want to take advantage of what the defense is doing in the moment. If you're having success running the football, the natural tendency of the defense is to get sucked up, and you can pass on them. You can hit them with a play action pass. These guys are going to be wide open, but you have to return to the run, and you can't just abandon the run. I'm just concerned that Shawn Payton is who he is when it comes to being a play caller. He sees Joe Burrow on the other side and Jamar Chase and that
team. Air it out, Bo.
Absolutely.
Air it out.
His air ego. Relative to his ego, that gets juiced up for a game like this.
Oh, 100%.
But what I could say is, like, if he takes it to the next level, Shawn, the ultimate display of your prowess is to bend the game to your will, not to go and play their game and try to beat them at what they're doing better than you right now, but to call the game and manage it in a way that bends it to your will.
Outsmart them.
Exactly. Don't try to go toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow right now.
Outsmart them, but don't try to big D them.
Right.
Because that's not going to work.
It's about the motion in the open.
Their offense, right. Because their offense has done almost every offensive category better than the Broncos all season long. So to your point, find the loophole, Shawn. Don't try to beat Joe Burrow at his own game that he's done better all season long. That's not going to work. It's just not.
Here's what I also want to see him stop doing. Stop deferring when you win the
especially against this defense.
Yeah, just take the ball, because not only that, like,
I agree.
When you look at the final stats after every game, oftentimes when they defer, they actually are down a possession at the end of the game. It's 11 possessions for the other team, 10 for you, because you're deferring, you're giving them the ball at the beginning of the first half, and then you try to tilt it so you end with possession in the end of the first half and you get it back in the second. But I think you're able to manage that game and manage an extra possession better if you receive the ball in the first half.
Also, Shawn's shown us against the Ravens as well as against the Chargers. I get they were both fluky, but the end of half stuff didn't go great.
No.
And it ended up being, I think, a huge momentum factor in Baltimore. He downplayed the momentum against the Chargers, but it did give them a little more life. It gave them 3 points. It was a weird play that we hadn't seen in almost 50 years. But so when it goes to stopping Jamar Chase, not only is Joe Burrow putting up MVP-type numbers, Jamar Chase, who won't win Offensive Player of the Year because odds are Saquon wins that by not winning MVP, one of those two QBs will, I would think. But Jamar Chase has a chance to win what Cooper Kupp did a couple of years ago. It's not an official thing, but a triple crown. When you talk about catches, he's at 108. Let's round him up to 120 by the time it's over the next 2 weeks. And I'm probably going low on that. 1,500 yards. I think that'll be closer to 17. I don't think he's going to get to 2,000. And then he has 16 TDs. All three are leading the league, and there's no reason to think anyone's going to catch him in the TD category or yardage. He's got about 130 on his college teammate Justin Jefferson. He's playing lights out. So here's Shawn Payton asked about Jamar Chase. It gets broader than that, but asked what's the key to stopping this guy who is closing in here on this Triple Crown where you're leading the NFL in catches, yards, and touchdowns.
I don't think we have it.
It used to be there. I saw it, but it's disappeared.
The mouse is now
That's
just
pretty
Not anymore.
impressive. I really had never looked at it that way. I saw the same broadcast, and look, I had a chance to see those guys live in person. Just throw in Justin Jefferson, and that whole team was something else. And watching them, even in the national championship game, it's fun to see guys that you watched in college playing at different teams, and now it's not fun going against some of them, but it was, those numbers are remarkable, and the run after catch only happens when you have strong hands. Rarely do you see him leave his feet. His feet are on the ground as he catches the ball. Some receivers will jump or pause to catch it, but his balance, and I would say he's extremely strong and hard to tackle. So that presents a challenge. And obviously, all three of the receivers have been playing well, along with the running back from Illinois. So certainly this team has found their stride when you watch them of late, and we're going to have to play one of our best games.
They are going to have to play. They are going to have to play one of their best games. And we haven't really talked about Chase Brown, but he's been solid. Their running numbers aren't great, but when you watch Chase Brown, he's been a good guy to gamble on for anytime touchdowns. He's been good in terms of just as a fantasy player, filling in for Joe Mixon, if you will, or stepping in for Joe Mixon full time. I know they split a lot of stuff last year, but he's a guy there, and they clearly found value in Chase Brown. So before we move on, how do we think this game plays out? Where the Broncos, by the way, 3.5-point underdogs as it stands, and we know rain's coming. It was supposed to be kind of all day. Now they're saying either at the end of the game or even after the game. Could be a little windy, could be wet. They practice wet ball drills and all that all week, but how do we see it playing out? Liv, I'll start with you.
I think it will be, I don't know. I don't know if I feel great about this game, just given the nature of the second half that the Broncos just played. I think you can't forget about the fact that they went from lighting it up in the first half to being completely gone in the second half. So depending on how they've absorbed that loss and hopefully channeled it into some frustration, I do think that this team can play well through some frustration. I think it's going to be pretty close, though. I think it may come down to like a field goal or a missed extra point or something. So
who's going to win?
I'm trying to guess the score. I hate guessing scores.
Who's going to win, though?
I'll go Broncos because this game means more to them.
Well, and how big a day does Jamar Chase have? I want to get your thoughts on the game, too, but in general, Jamar Chase, last time he and PS2 matched up, 1 catch, 3 yards. That was PS2's rookie year. I don't know if Joe Burrow played in that game. I don't know if he did. But.
So the question is PS2 going to follow him everywhere?
Yeah, and do you just have Riley Moss follow Higgins? I mean, that's hard.
Yeah,
especially
it's hard, especially Riley with his knee. He's also running everywhere. You want him to be able to stay put. They're going to want to run some zone. They're not going to run man every single time. So, I don't think it's going to be a 1 catch, 3 yard day for Jamar, but I don't think he's going to have over 100 yards receiving. I don't think he's going to have over, 7 catches. I could see him having like 6 or 7 for like 62 yards or something like that. But them being able to tackle him and keep him relatively contained. I think like ultimately this defense's ability to create some big plays is going to determine what happens in this game. The Cincinnati's going to be able to move the ball. They are. They're going to score some points. The Broncos offense is not as strong as Cincinnati's offense. So unless the defense can come up with some big plays like they did with Nick Bonito's pick sixes and, some strip sacks and some things like that, then I think it's going to be a long day for the Broncos. I don't like the Broncos' chances in this game personally, even though I want the Broncos to win. we're analyzing this, and I think the Broncos are going to lose because I don't think they're playing as well as the Bengals, and the Bengals are at home, and they still are in the playoff hunt, are they not?
They are. No, they need,
yeah. I guess
they need the Broncos to lose twice, and obviously they'll certainly have a tiebreaker over the Broncos at that point. But I just had it in front of me, and then it just went away. Dang it. They're one of the 3 teams that are 7-8, along with Miami and
Indy.
and the Colts. So the Broncos would
How
have
are
a
the Colts
tiebreaker.
still in it if the Broncos beat them?
They're 7-8. So the Chargers, if I don't know
Oh,
that
the
tiebreaker, they're
Chargers,
the
right.
Chargers at 9-6 are making it. So you could have
Yeah.
a bunch of teams that were 9-8.
Mhm.
Okay, depending on what happens exactly with the Colts and
Yeah.
Hey, the Chargers could go to.
So the
New
Chargers could
England.
miss out, and the Colts
They
and Broncos
could. There's
could
a world
make
where
it.
Colts and
Yeah.
Broncos, or even the Bengals and Broncos could get in. Because if the Broncos win next week and got to 10 and the Chargers stayed at 9, the Chargers would have to lose to the Raiders
Yeah.
after going to New England and losing to Drake May and the Pats, although they played the
Yeah.
Bills tough for 3 quarters last week.
But ultimately, this is like you got to treat it like a playoff game if you're the Broncos, and go and plant your flag there, because this is a team playing very well, as good as playoff teams are going to play, even if they don't make it. And the Broncos, if they want to grow into these moments and be a team that's going to succeed in late December, January, and February, fingers crossed, someday, maybe this year, who knows? New Orleans,
knows?
yeah.
Who
But
knows?
they're going to have to play their best football in games like this. And so while I say that I think the Bengals are going to win because they're playing better, I could be surprised, and I hope I am. And if I am surprised by the Broncos, then we're seeing a maturation that's going to bode well for the future here, not just this season, but in the season, seasons to come.
Yeah.
I'm picking final score 30-27, but I don't know who's going to win the game.
Oh, wow.
We'll
Well,
find out. I'll be there in Cincinnati. You guys will be here handling our post game stuff.
that's right.
And it's gonna be a lot of fun. You know what else is fun? Saving money after spending plenty this holiday season. How'd you
Yeah.
like to get through the tail end of the holiday season? So you're gonna spend some money on New Year's. Most people like to go out, go big. Some people call it amateur night, but either way, you can get through it. With some help on your mortgage payment. Go to trustedamerican.com and see how our friends at Trusted American Mortgage can help you refinance your home and not make any payments until February, and maybe even until March now, because we've been reading this for a while. So you get to save on a couple mortgage payments. Trusted American's salary-based mortgage consultants, they want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. And right now they'll cover your closing costs. It's approximately your appraisal cost, approximately a $650 value. So go to trustedamerican.com. Again, scan the QR code that's above Liv's head if you're watching on the screen to see how much money you can save, or if you're listening, go to trustedamerican.com. All right, final couple things before we get out of here. Bowl games simultaneously with the Broncos tomorrow. I know there's plenty of people around here that are Rams fans too, college football fans. They will have to go split screen situation or find some sports bars because CSU Rams in the bowl game for the first time in a little bit. In the Gin and Juice Bowl, brought to you by Snoop and Dre.
Is it really called that?
It's the Gin and Juice Bowl.
It's like
the
rolling down the
Snoop
street.
Dogg Bowl.
The Arizona
Smoking Indo,
the
sipping on
Snoop
gin and
Dogg
juice.
Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice.
What do you think's in those swag bags?
Miami of
I think we
Ohio.
talked about
Yeah,
that.
you did. You
And
said
weed.
actual
Oh,
swag.
yeah.
Miami of Ohio and Colorado State. That game kicks at 2:30. Will you peek in on that for 1 second, or just check the score on your phone?
Probably
Or
approximately 1 second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Approximately one. Yeah.
Okay, and I
Maybe
think
even
it's
half a
just
second.
honest, right? This is the Broncos in a playoff push against a really good team. 3 NFL games tomorrow. Not great for bowl games. Just like the NFL dominated on Christmas, is going to dominate tomorrow. Chargers and Pats are one of those games as well. I think they're the early game in New England before the Broncos. And then there's one more night game. But the night game, I think people around here are going to pay attention to at 5:30 Mountain Time. You're going to have the kickoff of the Alamo Bowl.
Woo!
And we've got both Blake and Jet, our star photographers, already in San Antonio. They've been there for a couple of days. We had players talking yesterday. I think Coach Prime and the BYU coach talked today. That game kicks at 5:30, and it sounds like, at least if we believe this here from the quarterback, that we're going to see plenty of Travis Hunter and plenty of Shedeur Sanders as well in this game.
It's almost crazy to ask a football player this question, but why are you playing in this game? Why did you make the decision to play a game that so many other guys in your situation don't necessarily do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't adjust and I don't do what other people do. I feel like that's, even from the beginning, we went to HBCU and not every offer in the country. So it's like I don't really care what other people do, and it's about, I'll say it's about the team, and it's about everything I stand for. You know, it's about equality, and it's about just because they projected X, Y, and Z, that don't mean I can't play with my X, Y, and Z's. You get what I'm saying? I got to play with my receivers. I got to be able to play with the team, the O-line, everything like that, because we may not ever have a chance to play again together on the same team. So it's about cherishing the moment. It's about knowing this is the final collegiate game, and each and every game we left it all out there. So there's no regret. I don't ever want to go anywhere with regret, So that's the thing. If I felt like anything negative, I wouldn't have played this year. I was going first round last year regardless anyway. So you feel me? It's no difference. I would have just went.
And I did see where they, I think, either added or increased insurance for all these players, so they're going to be financially protected. The universities can pay that at every school for players throughout the year and through their bowl games. But Shedeur legitimately could go number one to the Giants or Raiders. Certainly he's going to go in the top three. Travis Hunter, you think, is going to go in the top three? At least at this point, Shedeur appears to be the top quarterback on everyone's board right now. It's cool for us as football fans, as folks who keep an eye on the University of Colorado, that cover it with two photographers down there covering everything they're doing this week, including today. But it is risky because you go back to 2017 when both Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette were the first to kind of set the trend of, hey, we don't need to play in this game that doesn't mean anything. We love our teammates. We'll be there on the sideline, but we could get hurt, and that will affect our financial future. So
I really don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Here's how I see it. And again, I get it. At the end of the day, these college athletes that are trying to make it to the highest level of football in the NFL and get drafted, they are thinking about their future. They're thinking long term, which I completely understand. But to me, not playing in your bowl game is like you're already looking ahead to something and you have unfinished business. Like before you close this chapter, to me, in my opinion, and this is just me thinking about it on the most basic level. I'm removing the business side of it, which I know is not entirely fair, but to me, you finish business here before you start thinking over there. Now I get it. The draft process, they've got that mindset for months and months and months before it actually happens. They have to prepare. They have to think about certain things once they start knowing that that's the next phase of their life. But I've never liked that. Like it just feels kind of like we're already done over here and now we're over here, and you're not done. Your season's not technically over.
But you sign up for the regular season and you're trying to win a championship. This game is truly an exhibition. It's the same as a preseason game that doesn't count, which we see more in basketball and NFL football.
I would put it a little bit differently, especially in this situation. Football is a family. You hear that all the time. Mm-hmm. You start something together, you want to finish it together. But I think even more so in Boulder right now with what they're doing, football is a family affair. Mm-hmm. With Coach Prime, he's trying to build something for the future. And he talked about how it reflects poorly on the program when you pull guys out of the bowl game. He wants guys to come here. He wants to create moments. And whether or not you consider it an exhibition or not mattering, everyone's going to be watching it on TV, and you're going to get to see another opportunity to see the best players in the country play their game with their dad on that stage with the CU Buffs helmet on. This is never going to happen again with these two guys. And so I appreciate what their willingness, their eagerness to play with their brothers on the field and for their father, whose program they respect and want to bolster on their way out. This would not do anything to bolster it on their way out. Everything has a risk in life. You put on a football helmet and go out to one day of practice, you're risking your health because you believe in the game, because you believe in your teammates. I love what they're doing to finish this the right way. If they get hurt, they rehab it and they get back on the field. I think they've proven to scouts, no matter what the injury they could get might be, that they'd be worth it anyway.
Play. They love the game.
Exactly. And I think it's a great message to send to the rest of the team.
Again, to your point, Shedeur could have gotten injured against Arizona in week whatever. He could have gotten injured to any of the Oklahoma State in their final game that technically, of course, their games did matter towards the end because they were trying to potentially win out and be a playoff team. But I just think when you truly love the game of football, every game should matter.
Yeah.
And that's what he clearly just said. I mean, to Shedeur, it does matter. These are his brothers. This is his family. And the job's not done. So I think that probably speaks volume about the culture that Coach Prime is creating for these athletes. And I respect it a lot.
Well, and look, they have Juju Lewis there. They have these young guys. Some of their other transfers, I think, may already be there as well. So they get to be around Travis Hunter, around Shedeur, around these other guys who are going to play in the NFL, that this is their last game. So that part is cool. The other difference, too, And look, we know Christian McCaffrey's family background, obviously, to
Yeah.
some degree. I don't know anything about Leonard Fournette. I think about Jake Butt, who was so promising, tore his knee for a second time in a bowl game and a third time here with the Broncos. But Jake Butt chose to play in that bowl game for Michigan. Again, kind of a meaningless game. And he did blow his knee out and dropped him to the third round, or fifth round, whatever it was for the Broncos, where they got him. But either way, there is that risk. But now Shedeur, whose dad is primetime and certainly has plenty of money, Shedeur also made somewhere between $4 and $6 million this year.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter has plenty. So it's a little different for these guys because their financial security, yes, there will be a windfall, especially with that second NFL contract. And so getting there as quickly as possible matters. But this isn't the 1980s or early 90s where guys are getting to the pros so they can take care of their we see a story every day where kids' NIL monies are paying off their parents' debt and buying houses, which is awesome. This is America. And so the risk isn't as high financially as it once was, insurance notwithstanding, because Shedeur's bank account looks way different than every top quarterback that has come along prior to about the last 3 years.
And, Shedeur mentioned he didn't want to leave with regrets. You would regret not playing in a game. I guarantee you Christian McCaffrey regrets not playing in that game with his friends, especially because he, the way things, you look back on those moments, you don't have a lot of chances to go and finish what you started with your buddies at the amateur level. I know they're getting paid now, but things get more complicated in the NFL. It's not as much about the joy and the love of the game, but college really is. It's about your buddies going out there and playing together, and he's going to do that. I think it's great.
Well, and to your point too, like not only setting the program up, it is his dad. And so it's very likely the last time his dad will be his head coach again.
Yeah.
I understand that could change, and the NFL's weird, and who knows, but it doesn't. No one is expecting Deion to be the coach of whatever team drafts Shedeur next year, as much as the Raiders or Giants could make that move. And so, this is the last time, and with his brother on the other side of the ball and all of that. So it will be cool.
It's a family affair.
And we'll be there covering it. You guys will be talking about it. I'll be keeping an eye on it from Cincinnati after the game. And then we will be back on Monday recapping everything and seeing where the Broncos are in terms of their playoff push. Because not only a win against Cincinnati lets people know this is a team you don't want to mess with in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It also puts them in position to potentially jump ahead of either the Chargers or the Steelers. I guess with the Ravens, but really the Steelers. I don't think they can. And maybe they're not going to Buffalo. They're going to Baltimore. Either way, you don't love any of them necessarily. But just you want to be playing good football. And this is a chance for them.
And I'll say this, going back to Baltimore, if that were to happen, I like the Broncos' chances a lot more than the first time around, because it's rare you're going to go to the same place and get blown out twice. I mean, you're going to have a little something extra for them. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but I wouldn't be super terrified to go into Baltimore.
I will ask that real quick. I mean, look, we're getting out of here now, but would you rather, just all things being equal today, would you rather them opening round go to Baltimore or Buffalo?
Baltimore.
Okay.
100%.
All right. I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you. All right. Well, we have to thank our friends at Trusted American.
Yeah.
Thank you to Liv. Thank you to Nate. I'm BK. Enjoy your third night of Hanukkah. Hope everybody's enjoying taking their Christmas presents back they didn't like. We appreciate you hanging with us here on Off Field, and we will see you tomorrow after the Broncos game in Cincinnati.
See ya.
Bye.